This is hydrogen tap. What you're looking at is a Honda Civic that I'm going to be working with this summer. I'm going to be using the cell that was in the lab and hooking it up to this car. Also, I'll be working with the 3LR 1000 units, probably two at a time. This Civic I had operating with hydrogen oxygen last year as a helper system, and it worked pretty fair. There's the intake, or where the air goes into the filter. You can see that patch-like thing on the upper right corner is where there's a hole there, which I ran one of my hydrogen tubes to. What we're going to do is take off the air filter, and you'll see how I hooked it up. This year I'm going to be going further. This year I'm going to be using the 3LR 1000s, probably two of them at a time, in trying to get the car to idle with them. You can see how they've divided the air intake up. It goes into this breather tube and then goes down into that box on the bottom and then comes back up through it into the filter. From what I've heard and from what I understand, there's nothing in that box. It's just a two-section box, and most likely it's slowing up the air as it comes in. I'm going to replace that box there with the hydrogen units eventually. Before I do that, I'm going to be experimenting with the hydrogen units outside the car so I can make my changes. This is a 4-cylinder. Right now what I'm going to be doing is running everything through the air intake where the filter goes. Gasoline prices here are $3, and now they've gone back down to $3.15 a gallon. Down to, I like that. See those two red wires? They're going through to the cab. There's where my hookup was before. It will be again. What I'm going to do is take that filter off and show you the inside. There are 4 clamps. There's your paper filter. There's the intake valve. I'll call it the valve. It's got a leaf spring, and that thing in the center there opens and closes and allows the air to go into the engine. As you can see, the hole right there is where I fed the hydrogen. That comes in under the air filter. I found out if you leave that hole there, when it goes into inspection, it will fail. It's a good view of the filter section, intake. This is where all the air is going in, and it's really going in hard. There's a good view of the intake manifold. I believe that's what you call it. what I'll be doing is feeding the hydrogen oxide directly into this. It is my plan this time to go to the fuse box and put a bypass in which I can turn off the gas pump. I've done some experiments with the fuse box, and that is the easiest way to bypass the fuel system. So by putting a switch there, I can turn the gas off. And hopefully by doing that, I'll be running straight on the hydrogen oxygen. The reason I keep saying hydrogen oxygen is because that's what I'm using. I'm not separating the hydrogen or oxygen apart. In the very first videos, I used to say hydrogen, and I got so many emails. It's just not worth it to bypass that. What I'm doing there is shining a light in there to see if I can see whether that goes straight through. It does not. It goes into that box I showed you a moment ago. So this is the car I'll be working on. Again, the system I'm going to be working on this year will be to bypass the fuel completely. My aim right now will be to get the car to idle directly on the hydrogen oxygen. That will be a major step. I know there's others that have done that or have claimed to have done that and are showing they are doing it. I guess until I do it myself, I won't, or I'll reserve judgment on that. One thing about the videos I've been showing you, there's over 100 of them now, you know all the mistakes I've made, and if you have been watching, you know that when we get results, they're real results. I'm pretty convinced I can get the car to idle on the hydrogen. It may take two 3LR 1000s, I don't know. The cell I had operating with this car before was very small. There are the switches I had in there. And there you are.